Welcome back to the podcast. I'm coming in hot today with a Q&A. And it's because this question came through and I thought to myself, this is a question that people are going to hear and go, yeah, I have that same question. Or this is going to be a question people are going to go, I didn't even know to ask that question. That's an interesting question. So that's how we're going to kick it into gear today. And the question comes from the Sage Circle. Now, the Sage Circle is my online community platform. I've been running that for a number of years. It is filled with spiritual, like-minded, positive, high vibe people. And once a month we get together and we do Q&A. They submit questions on in and we go over them. This one stood out. So I'm not going to hesitate. I'm just going to say welcome to the podcast if you're new. If you've been here before, welcome back, my friend. Let's jump into this. Okay, here's the question, and I'm summarizing it. So bear with me. But the question's from Susan, and it's about crossing over work. It's about when someone gets stuck in the in-between, or they pause, or they're struggling a little bit in their transition journey, and somebody does crossing over work to help them. Susan's question was, is there a pattern with this work that you can rely on in every single situation? Is there a structured way to help people cross over? I thought, this is a great question, because there's a yes to this, but in the smallest way. The bigger response is no. Every single situation is different. So let me explain it this way. When somebody passes away, perhaps you've seen or heard near-death experiences. People talk about near-death experiences, powerful stories, absolutely. The similarity amongst most of them is that there's an automatic pull. There's an automatic pull. So when somebody leaves their body, they're still the same person they were on earth, along with their spirit, and they're crossing through the in-between. And there's this automatic pull. I mean, I love that. I plan on using that people mover myself. I'm not walking the long walk. I'm going to get right on that people mover and just let it do its thing and cross on over. But in this process of this automatic pull to the other side, sometimes a person, which is now in spirit form, will get triggered or worried or concerned, or something will happen. And there's unlimited amount of reasons why this could happen. Not common, but it does. And they will, as you'll hear in pop culture, they'll get stuck. So a spirit will be stuck in the in-between. I like to express it more with, they kind of just wedge their feet on the side of the people mover and go, oh, whoa, hold on, wait a minute, I need a minute, hold on. And it's typically based out of fear. So they will slow their process down or halt their process or just stop the forward momentum. That is the majority of spirits that are pausing or lingering in the in-between, or as some of us say, stuck. Why am I hesitating on the word stuck? I'll tell you. I'm hesitating on it because it can freak some people out. It can scare them. They can be like, well, that sounds scary. And I'm like, really? Have you not heard other potential stories of what people believe you can go to on the other side? Those are just scary ones. I'm just talking about slowing down on a people mover and maybe not getting to your gate on time. So here we bring in the help of crossing that spirit over, helping that person loosen their grip on the automatic people mover, relaxing into it, and just letting it roll forward again. That's what somebody that does crossing over work does. Now, back to Susan's question. Is there a standard protocol? There's a good way of saying it. Is there a standard protocol when you do this work? So slight backstory, I've been doing crossing over work for 18 years. So I'm probably a good person to ask this question of. And I know at least a handful of other people who have done crossing over work for almost that long, if not that long as well. So when it comes to the pattern, the only pattern I can grab onto is in the beginning, there's always, the practitioner will always do some sort of like ground, clear, protect, GCP. If you haven't heard about it, I'll point you in that direction in a minute. They'll do some sort of protection practice where it's like, okay, I'm going to bubble up, or I'm going to set my intention for outward energy, not inward energy, to be helpful in this process. So there's typically some sort of a ritual that each practitioner will do. Now that's going to be their own. That's going to be the one that works for them. At that point, then it's scanning the situation, locating, figuring out who's stuck, who's slowed down their process, and why. Working with them to kind of loosen their grip so that automatic people mover starts moving again and they start heading into the direction of crossing over. At that point, then clearing the energy around the space and wrapping up the session. So you could say there's a pattern there, but it can go deep with everything else. So that's the yes, Susan, is for Susan's question. Is there a protocol? Yeah, everybody kind of, sets their intent going in. They go in, they figure out what the situation is, they assist the spirit in the way that they can, and then they'll wrap up usually with some sort of an energy clearing or swipe or release. That in general is what I can say for a protocol. But the bigger piece of this, which is the larger answer, which is the no answer, is every single clearing is different. Every single clearing is different. And I actually learned this the hard way. I remember going into a clearing. I had 2 clearings in a day. I actually had like 4 in a week. And I did the first one, and another day I did another one, and like a third day I did another one. And they all seemed relatively similar, right? They were all like grandparents who were concerned about something and staying behind just a little bit, things like that. They were all very loving and gentle, and the protocol that I do have established, set up, worked really well. So I'm gonna just confess this to you. And this was when I was new, all right? So I've had many years of learning my lesson on this one. But the 4th one I went to that week was at the end of the day, and I had done one that morning. And I showed up to the house, and I look at me, pause. Okay, I showed up to the house. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna admit it. And I was a little cocky. I was like, oh yeah, this is what I do. That's what I do. I can do this. I got this. So I'm just gonna go in and just evaluate and chat with the spirit and see if I can get them moving on. Well, I went in with my guard down because of that, right? And I didn't set up my intent strongly, and I didn't remind myself that every single clearing is a different situation, and you can't go in there expecting anything. And I was going in there expecting something. And this particular clearing happened to be a very uncomfortable one. It was a male. It was a perpetrator from long in the day. Interesting fact, and I'll tell you this story on another episode. It ended up being a serial killer from Gilmington, New Hampshire. You can look that one up. And it was wild because I ended up showing up there the day that it was like 100 years, some anniversary of his death or something. But I walked in and he was not as friendly as the grandparents that I had worked with in the previous clearing. And as a result of being just so kind of relaxed into it and, treating it like a job instead of like, a calling, I just walked in and was instantly kind of just energetically attacked. And I went, whoa, okay. And I stepped outside. I said, I just need a minute to reset and take my confidence and kind of put it over here for a minute and get back into the mode of what somebody does at clearing, which is you are a worker. If you're crossing somebody over, if you're doing clearing work, you are not wearing a cape. You are not special because of it. You're doing important work. That's it. And, that's one piece. And I wouldn't say that I was kind of feeling that way, but I have seen people be like, oh, I do clearings. I am the magnificent clearier, or something. And it's like, okay, you could probably be doing work on a deeper level if we set that aside. My issue of confidence was, oh, I got this. I can do this. They're all the same. They're all the same. And I just sort of let down my guard that way. So I kind of set that aside and said, you know what? I'm humbled. Yes, every single clearing is different. I reset, I went back in, and I clearly saw what I was dealing with and went, okay, I have a different situation. And I'll share that story with you at some point in the future. But I bring that up to point out that you're going to have clearing work that you do. If you do clearing work, you're going to have clearing work where you go in and it's just a kid looking for their mom, or you go in and it's an aunt looking for her niece or something, or a mom who doesn't want to leave until she sees her kids graduate, or things like this. But then you could go in, and on not as common, right? But you could go in and you could find out that, this is a person that was a perpetrator and they like inflicting harm on people. This is a little bit more of an intense situation. So when I say that there's really no protocol overall on step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, what I'm saying in that side of the answer is you have to know that every single one of these is going to be different. And you got to keep your head on straight with that, right? You can't be like, oh yeah, I'll just rinse and repeat. That's what I did. I was like, oh, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Holy crap, look what I stepped into. Let me reset. So that's the difference. That's when I would say to somebody, don't relax into all of them being the same way. Don't expect clearings to all be done in the same manner. Sometimes you're going to call in different elements, or sometimes you're going to work with different guides, or sometimes you're going to communicate with the spirit differently, or sometimes you might not even communicate with the spirit. You might just shift the energy in the room. That might help the spirit that's struggling relax a little bit and start moving along on the people mover. So that would be the answer. If I had to pick a yes or no, because I know I kind of toggled between those two, didn't I? I would pick the answer no. There's no standard protocol. The most important piece is that you show up with love, you have good intention, you bubble up, do your GCP. Again, I'll get to that in a little bit. Do your GCP and do whatever it takes to assist the spirit in releasing their grip. And the grip and the stopping and the slowing down typically is in fear, either of where they're going or what they've done or anything along those lines, or what's worse, and this one really gets me frustrated, or what people told them. And they're scared because they were told something over and over and over when they were living, that they're going to this place or that they're going to, and so they're really fearful of the process. So those are the reasons that people slow down. Every single person is different, to the point where I've had situations that were just way out of there. You know what? I think I'm going to share one of those with you today too. I think that would be really good. But that's let go of protocol. Let go of step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Overall, make sure you ground yourself. Make sure you set your intent before you go into the clearing, whether it's remote or in person. Assess the situation. Work with the spirit in the way the spirit needs to be worked with. Don't take any trouble from them. They don't get to cause any trouble with you, but show up with unconditional love and strength of, we're going to start moving on here, right? Think of that super loving mom who ain't going to let you pull any crap. We're going to get moving here because that's what's best for you. And then that's it. That's your job. Showing up for spirit and let them move on. You hear me mention GCP quite frequently in this podcast, and there's a reason for it. GCP stands for Ground, Clear, Protect, and I'm taking a minute out here just to talk to you about this, to point you in the direction to where you can find the lesson on GCP. I want you to give it a try and see if it makes a shift in your life in a positive way. Go over to thesagemethod.com. You're going to be surprised. It's a game changer. There's one story that exhibits this very, very well. Now, when it comes to doing spiritual clearings, like I said, they're all different. You have to approach them with an open mind. So here we go. I have one memory, you could say, of a time where I did a spiritual clearing that really took me by surprise. What I experienced, I didn't even think about possibly happening. So here's the story. We lived in a small town, New Hampshire, and there was a small metaphysical shop, and they did different gatherings, meditation sessions, things like this. Lovely shop. Turns out they were experiencing some hauntings. And what I will find out later, what I didn't know at first, was that they had contacted a medium. The medium came in, did the clearing, and it ended up not sticking. It didn't seem to work. So they called in another team. Now, this time, I was on a ghost hunting team. So this wasn't technically just a clearing. This was a ghost hunting, but, and I love ghost hunters. I do. Not all ghost hunters, okay? You don't have to flex in every moment, but I love ghost hunting. I love the premise of it. I think it's fantastic. If you bring a medium on board with it, please don't tell them anything. Don't feed the medium. Do you know what I mean? Just let them go in blind, pick up whatever they pick up. And I worked with this one ghost hunting team because that's what they did with me. So they let me come in blind, just pick up whatever I'm going to pick up. And the other thing that I was going to say let me did, but ain't nobody going to stop me, right? But the other thing that they would do is they would let me clear the place at the end of it. Because not all ghost hunting teams do this, but here we are. So we're in this metaphysical shop, and I go in blind, don't know what's going on. And I have one of the ghost hunting team members is the filming crew. So he's filming. He's walking around. I wish I had this. I wish I could have reviewed this because I could be a little bit more precise with my story. But in general, what happened is we show up, go in there. I find 3 spirits. I think there might have been 4, but the 3 are the most important part of this story. One is a young female, I'd say like 18, 19, 20 years old. And another one is an older male, closer to like his 50s. And then the third person was a little boy. And it was very clear that the female spirit was protecting the little boy. They were in a different room and the man was, I believe, outside or it was like over in a barn or something. So I've spoken to the male and he expressed to me, just he can't go, he can't leave, it's not done. Where are they? Just things like this. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of anger. It became pretty clear just in his stance and his attitude and the things that he said that he was a perpetrator in life and he did harm to others. I did my best to not make assumptions on if that young lady was one of his victims back in the day when they were all alive. But I did approach her and say, are you afraid of him? Are you? And she's like, I'm not afraid of him anymore. Okay, that was enough for me. This isn't about finding stuff out when you do crossing over work. It's about learning what the spirit needs to help them cross over. So that's enough. That's enough. I'm good. I don't need all the tea. But she was with the little boy. And I went to talk to the little boy to see what was going on. And she said, I'm protecting him. And I was like, oh, from him. And I don't even recall if we got an answer on that one. But then the little boy started talking about missing his dad. He said, I don't know where my dad is. And I was like, okay, well, maybe if I can connect this spirit with his dad, who's clearly going to be on the other side, that might help this little boy cross over. He says, I can't find my dad. I'm at the train station. He mentioned something about being at the train station and that, like I said, couldn't find his dad. So in the house, we have a young female. We have the young female supervising, watching over this little boy. And the little boy just wants to find his dad and is like lost at the train station. Okay, fast forward 20 minutes, 30 minutes, me and the cameraman, which is one of my friends, actually, he's a great guy. Me and the cameraman walking around, looking around. We meet the elderly male, the older male, elderly. He was like in his 60s. That's a little hard there, but we meet him outside, and now I'm trying to open up more communication with him to see what he needs. Just collecting evidence, right? Not clearing anybody over yet. It's a ghost hunt. We're going to do that at the end of the night. But I'm chatting with him about what he needs. And all of a sudden I realize he's standing at a train station. And I say that out loud. I was like, he's at a train station and he's really lost. And the cameraman, friend of mine, he was the one that went, wait a minute. I think the man and the little boy are the same person. And I kind of took pause because this is not even something I would have considered as a possibility. But the second I considered it as a possibility, I saw the link. And then it was a whole lot easier. It's hard to explain because it's not anything that you're physically moving in the physical world, but it was a whole lot easier to feel that forward movement toward resolution, toward solution, toward the movement of these spirits moving towards the other side again, because in essence, that's all being stuck is slowing down or pausing on their crossing over journey. And I started to feel that movement again. And I was like, okay, there's something here. And I set the intent of bringing the energy of the little boy safely and the grown man safely and with love and nothing other than that together. And the second they came closer together, it just felt complete. Everything felt fine. Everything felt safe, because my human brain was saying, well, she's protecting the little boy from the man, so why would I give the little boy to the man? I'm not giving the little boy to the man, Beau. You're reconnecting the spirit. So it's kind of like a soul retrieval sort of thing, bringing these two pieces of one soul back together. And the minute I did that, he crossed right over. And it was really stunning to me. And when I tell you what I found out afterwards, you'll see it all comes together. And it's kind of one of those moments where you're like, you can't make this stuff up. But okay, he's crossed over. He's whole again, crossed over, let go of the fear of not seeing his dad, whatever that fear was for him. And I go to find the young woman, and she's already in the process of crossing over. There's nothing I had to do, which I'm just going to take a little blip of a moment here to say this was one of the beautiful moments of doing crossing over work for me, is I got to witness the soul of a person who had been hurt, protecting the inner child of the person that hurt her, strictly out of love, strictly out of support. So even though she was hurt in life, she was able to be in that space of, this is where we're at, this is the help that's needed. So it wasn't that she was protecting just the little boy, it was that she was protecting him, both parts of him. I thought that was really beautiful. So before I choke up a little, let's move on. So it's all done. We've crossed everyone over. And I found out later that because the leader of the ghost hunting group went back to the owner of the property and said everything that happened, gave the full details of what the medium said as well, which was me. And the owner, the leader of the ghost hunting crew, came back to me and said, interesting fact that you might want to know. And I was like, okay, what is it? He said, the medium that came in before to try to clear the place struggled clearing that man over. And she tried to help him by bringing him through like a childhood regression, like bringing him back to his childhood. And it didn't work. And I said, well, that's fascinating. So what I was seeing visually was just the representation of that regression back to childhood and the forcefulness in which this man didn't want to go back there. So it was a separation. It's one of the most bizarre clearings I've done. Have I seen that again? No. I've been doing clearings for 18 years. I've only seen that one once. But it's a great example of how you really, really have to stay open to what you're going to experience in the psychic realms, source, with guides, with loved ones, with mediumship, and with crossing over. Staying open is key to increasing the strength of your already natural intuitive abilities. There's a couple really important things I need you to hear. When it comes to intuition, I've been teaching the Sage Method course. It's a 7-week development course. I've been teaching that for 15, 16 years to people all over the globe. It's not that some people have a gift and some people do not. I'm actually not really a big fan of the word gift, to be honest with you. It is a natural part of all of our systems. So it's not a matter of if you're intuitive or not. It's a matter of what's blocking your intuitive channel and discovering that, releasing it, and being able to use your intuition on a day-to-day basis. It's a game changer. Your lows become less low, your highs become higher, and everyone should be using their intuition in their day-to-day life. Go to thesagemethod.com, see what you're drawn to, and keep honing your intuition. Let's do some guide communication, shall we? My main guide, his name is Peter. I've been working with him for about 15 years, actually, for quite a long time. And he is the guide that I work with, not only to learn, because it's continual learning, right? We never stop learning on our spiritual path. Not only to learn, but also he is the guide that I work with to do sacred space meditation sessions in, the Sage Circle community. I work with him for teaching sessions, things like this. So he's very interested in the energetics that are happening everywhere from a global scale down to a personal scale, right? Because we've got all those different layers. So I want to communicate with him today. I'm going to jump in. What you're going to see is I'm going to get really quiet. It's not going to be a whole lot of Whoopi Goldberg coming through. So just want to let you know right away. Guide communication for me is a little less channeling as it is more like a mediumship reading. So it's my job to tell you what he's showing me, what I see, feel, and hear. And I'm going to start by doing GCP. So you're going to see me be quiet for just a second. I'm going to ground, clear, protect. If you're not familiar with that, go check out the link. But be quiet, and then I'll let you know what's coming through and what's important for him to share today. Okay, as of the time of this moment, it is November 2025. And the first thing that he shows me is a pulse. There's a pulse going on around the globe, as a matter of fact. And the first time I look at it, as he's showing it to me, I can see that the pulse is sporadic. I can see that it's chaotic, it's offbeat. And a couple of weeks ago, maybe like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, so end of October, beginning of November, the pulse became regular, steady, reliable, and calming are the words that he's saying. This is a really important thing to know because the changes that have happened throughout this year, and he wants me to reiterate, not just on a global scale, but on a community scale, on a family scale, and on an individual scale. The changes that have happened this year as we're moving into the age of Aquarius have been massive. We've felt them more than we've felt in the past, but there's a couple reasons for this. He says, I'll get back to the pulse in a minute and how to connect into it, because those that connect into it are going to thrive next year. Now, the changes that have gone on this year have been very big, and what he's showing me is that the reason they've been larger is because the previous years, 2024, 2023, 2022, and earlier, have been riddled with invitation to do inner work. Sometimes to the point where we don't even want to. Like, no thanks, right? I'm all set, okay? But the last couple of years have been either ourselves willingly doing the inner work and walking through these stages of waking up, or it's been that we have been forced to do inner work and wake up. These things are very difficult to walk through, but you walk through them, you're good. At this point now, you might be feeling a sense of odd calm and odd stability. Even if in your immediate circle or on a bigger scale, you're not quite seeing that yet. That's the pulse. So he's getting back to talking about the pulse now. Lots of transformation, lots of inner growth, lots of challenges. But if you think about what you are aware of today about yourself compared to what you knew 2 years ago, even, this odd sense of stability, odd sense of calm, even if it doesn't match with the outside world quite yet, makes sense to you on a level that's hard to put into words. That's the pulse. Let's get back to this. So he shows the globe again, and it's just this gentle pulse. But it was sporadic. It was changing because, goodness sake, we've had changes. And there are times, okay, I'm backing up because he just said something different to add into it. There are times that have been a pull into fear, scarcity, the what ifs. Let's stick with the what ifs. And again, do not forget that this is on a personal level, family level, community level, global. So it's on all levels. But there's been a pull to what if this, what if this, what if this. That is oddly calming now. And the what ifs were fed off of this sporadic, random tempoed pulse going around the globe, because the globe was setting itself up for this next area of life, this next age of Aquarius, this next time of being. We're going into a whole process that's going to be 20 years of functioning very differently than we did before. So in the last couple of weeks, this sporadic pulse has shifted into a reliable, steady beat. And his message to you today is, as it's coming through this whole message, link in with that beat. Link in with the steadiness of it. You already feel more steady, but it doesn't make sense. You already feel more calm and anchored, but you're still seeing chaos around you or shifts around you that aren't complete yet. He says, anchor into the pulse, and you'll start to see the outside world shape into it as well sooner. How do we do this is my question to him, because I'm just like you, curious about this stuff. That's great. Tell me what to, I need action-oriented steps. What's the order of operations here? Okay, so a couple things. He says the first one is actively catch moments of invites of fear-based or rage-bait type material grabbing your attention and shut it down. Shut it down. Turn it off, shut it down, say, not now. Even if you want to stay informed on what's going on in your life, your work life, your family life, globally, whatever that is that you want to stay informed with, that's fine. But give yourself a set diet of it, meaning once a day you can check in, but not throughout the entire day. Got it? Okay, that's the first thing. So when that fear-based information comes in, it's pulling you away from that steady beat. Okay, the other thing too is every morning, anchor yourself into the earth. You don't have to be standing on green grass. You can be inside your house. You can be on the 22nd floor of your apartment complex. Just imagine your bare feet in the soil for a quick second and say, thank you, Mother Earth, for grounding me. That's going to ground you into that pulse. And the third thing, it's interesting. He says the third thing is to align with your path the way your path works best. If it is yoga that fits you, do yoga. If it is breath work, do breath work. If it's meditation, do meditation. We all have different paths. So, number one, anytime you get that low vibration pulling into you like fear or rage, push it away. Nope. You are allowed in between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. And it is 2:05, sir. You need to go. So set your boundaries around that kind of information. Stay informed, but set your boundaries strongly. Number two, anchor every morning. Do GCP. That'll take care of it. Ground, clear, protect, but ground into Mother Earth in the way that works best for you. Number three, get back to that which feeds your soul. Those things done daily, we're talking about 10 minutes to an hour at the most, done daily is going to link you in to that calm beat. Yeah, that feels good. I'm just seeing if there's any other information. No, that'll be it.